You need to find health insurance in California for your family. Maybe you're losing employer coverage. Maybe you're self-employed. You moved. We're going to talk about the strategy, science, and a little bit of art of how to find the right health plan for a family, which is different, believe it or not, than individuals. So in this video, let's jump into the strategy around picking the best health plan for your family. First, let's talk about the basics of picking a health plan in Cover California for a family. We'll start with the definition of family. Who are we including? So their definition of household is everyone that files together on a 1040 tax form for the year we're getting insured. Meaning, if I'm recording this right now, September of 2025, I'm thinking of my April 2026 tax filing in terms of who I'm going to claim. I bring this up because sometimes there are kids who are maybe going off to college or living in another state, or you're not going to claim them on your taxes. So household is everyone that files together on a 1040. If you have an older child, keep in mind they can remain on a health plan until 2026, but they might have a separate account at Cover California if you don't claim them on your taxes. And we can help with that whole process because it gets confusing. But right off the bat, family is everyone who files together on the 1040. The second piece that's super important is income, because income drives subsidies. It can drive how rich the level of plans we get at the silver level, and we'll talk about that. But we want to look at the household income on that same 1040 tax form, the adjusted gross income, line 11 on the 1040 right now. That's what we're trying to estimate. If you're W-2, that's easy. You take everyone's W-2 that's going to show up on your tax filing, and that's your gross income for most people. Again, take a look at the adjusted gross because capital gains can figure in there, rental income, self-employment income, all of that falls down to that AGI we're trying to capture. And for most people, that is the income we're trying to look at. If your income is in flux, we're trying to estimate. It's the best we can do. And let us help you with the application piece, because if you answer it not wrongly, but in a certain way, it can dump you down into Medi-Cal. It takes them 30 days to realize you're not eligible for Medi-Cal, and it's this 2-month process of kind of fighting that. So reach out to us, and there's no cost for assistance. We can help you navigate that piece. But we're looking at annual income estimate. That's how Cover California looks at it for the full year for everyone together. All right, so we've got our household, we've got our income, and now let's talk about some of the tricks and tips that are specific to families in terms of getting the best value. Okay, in terms of costs, and we can run quotes for you and go through plans and do all of that, but here's some hints and tips. Right off the bat, the larger your family is and the older you are, generally the bigger the difference in cost between levels, bronze to silver, silver to gold. And so sometimes if we get a family that's in their 50s with older kids, that bronze plan, even though it's a high deductible, if we can save $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year, it usually makes sense to go down the scale and get a high deductible plan. We really like the HD HP bronze versus the other bronze. It's almost $3,000 less out of pocket on the back end if you have big bills. It's also HSA qualified. But again, that's our favorite bronze, or the silver 73. And we just talked about in our new 2026 updates that the silver 73 is still going to be around. It's basically a gold level plan for the price of silver, no deductible. So it's much richer than the bronze, and it's much cheaper than the gold or platinum, meaning there's no reason to go richer than the silver anymore. So it's bronze or silver. That makes it super easy, and we can compare these options across all the major carriers for you so you can take a look at it. The subsidies will apply equally regardless. Here's another tip with families. You can mix and match plans. Quite often we'll have a situation where a family is like, look, we're all pretty healthy except for this person. They have huge healthcare costs. In that case, sometimes it makes sense to put them on a silver, put the other family members on a bronze, and we can do that. So you'll save money on the family members on a bronze. You don't really use healthcare a lot. And then You'll have the silver for the person who really does use health. You could do gold or platinum, but usually it's the silver when we look at the premium difference. We can run split quotes so you can see the difference if we mix and match. Not a problem. We can also even have different carriers. So we could have a Blue Shield PPO for this person because they really want that PPO network. Yeah, for this person, they're not as worried. They don't use much healthcare costs. They want an HMO, maybe a bronze even. We can do that. So we can mix and match. When we get your zip code, dates of birth, and best estimate for this year's income, we'll send you a full quote with all family members together, but let us know if you want to investigate that. And that brings us to the next piece, which is how do we compare these different carriers? What's important? It really comes down to network. Let's talk about that now. This is probably half of our job these days. Someone's picked out, they like the silver, for example, and the pricing, they have all of that from the quote they gave them. All right, how do we compare? Because the silver, the benefits are identical from carrier to carrier, meaning a Silver 73 has the exact same benefits, whether it's Anthem Blue Cross, Blue Shield PPO, LA Care, Kaiser, doesn't matter. Standardized benefits. So then what do? Obviously, premiums are going to be different, and that can really fluctuate depending on area and age, but really it comes down to networks. For example, if you want Kaiser, that's easy. Kaiser's Kaiser. You stay within Kaiser. Some people have been there their entire lives. They want to stay with Kaiser. Great. Bronze, silver, Kaiser. Makes it super easy. We can help you process the application, enroll at no cost, and it's super easy and fast. However, if there are other doctors and hospitals you want access to, reach out to us. Send us a letter with the doctors, hospitals you want, of course, your zip code, date of birth, best estimate for income. We'll run the quotes, and then we'll go chase down which plans work with those doctors. Now, just a heads up, you may have family members where their doctors, one family member works with Blue Shield PPO, but another family member only works with HealthNet or Anthem or LA Care. It gets tricky. So there may be situations where, again, we mix and match plans so all the family members have their doctors. That's just the way the world is. Individual family networks, whether Covered California or direct to the carriers, are smaller than employer networks where a lot of people are actually coming off of those plans trying to match. So an Anthem Blue Cross network on an employer plan is not the same as the network on an individual family plan. We really need to verify and double check those doctors. Let us do the heavy work because the online directories are pain and sometimes they're not accurate. There are a lot of times we call the doctors, we're chasing down the networks, we know how to ask the question correctly so they know to give the right answer. Otherwise they'll say, oh yeah, we take Anthem Blue Cross. Well, they mean the employer plan. So we can chase that down, reach out to us. But now you have kind of a general landscape of family plans. Figure out the income, look at who's going to file together in a 1040 tax form. We run the quote for bronze and silver. We chase down doctors, see who works with whom. We have a simplified online application process to help you, no cost for assistance. Check out the reviews, but all we do is cover California all day long. So let us help you with the transition, usually from employer coverage to individual family, especially Covered California. We can make this super easy for you. If you stuck around this long, thank you. We appreciate it. You probably have more questions. Reach out to us. There's zero cost for assistance. You can call, email, chat, or best yet, book a time and we can go through your personal situation to address any questions regarding California health insurance. Because a lot of sources out there are nationwide, and California is really unique. We need to go through the specifics of your situation in your area to find the best options. We don't push. We don't try to sell anything. We answer questions. And if you look at our Google reviews, you'll see that reflected in how we deal with this. We're happy to help. Reach out to us. And do us a big favor. If you could like and subscribe below, that's fantastic so we can keep bringing this information to California.